Understanding the heat. What is global warming? Global warming refers to the ongoing increase in Earth's average temperature. This warming trend is primarily caused by human activities, such as burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. These activities release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Greenhouse gases trap heat from the sun, preventing it from escaping back into space. Think of it like wrapping an extra blanket around the Earth. The blanket represents the greenhouse gases. They trap more heat, causing the planet to warm up. This warming effect has significant and far-reaching consequences for our environment, our economies, and our way of life. This warming trend has been observed over the past century, with the last few decades experiencing the most dramatic increases. The scientific consensus is clear. Human activities are the dominant cause of this unprecedented warming. Our rising seas, the environmental threat. One of the most visible and alarming impacts of global warming is rising sea levels. This phenomenon is not just a future threat, it is happening right now, affecting communities around the world. As global temperatures rise, glaciers and ice caps melt at an accelerated rate, adding more water to our oceans. This process is happening faster than scientists initially predicted. Simultaneously, the warming of ocean water causes it to expand in volume, further contributing to sea level rise. This thermal expansion is a significant factor that cannot be overlooked. The consequences of rising sea levels are dire. Coastal communities are already experiencing the devastating effects, from frequent flooding to the erosion of their shorelines. Coastal areas face an increased risk of erosion, flooding, and even permanent inundation. These changes are reshaping the geography of our coastlines. Millions of people living in low-lying coastal regions are vulnerable to displacement and the loss of their homes and livelihoods. The human cost of this environmental crisis is immense. The world's coastal ecosystems, including beaches, wetlands, and coral reefs, are also at risk. These vital ecosystems are crucial for maintaining biodiversity and protecting shorelines. These ecosystems provide essential habitats for a wide array of marine life and act as natural buffers against storms and erosion. Their degradation would have far-reaching impacts. Their loss would have devastating consequences for biodiversity and the livelihoods of communities that depend on them. Protecting these ecosystems is not just an environmental issue but a socio-economic one as well. Feeling the heat. Extreme weather events. Global warming is also fueling an increase in the frequency and intensity of extreme weather events. Heat waves are becoming more common and severe, posing significant risks to human health, particularly for vulnerable populations like the elderly and those with pre-existing health conditions. Droughts are becoming more prolonged and widespread, leading to water shortages, crop failures, and wildfires. On the other hand, warmer temperatures also hold more moisture in the atmosphere, leading to more intense rainfall and an increased risk of flooding. The impacts of these extreme weather events are far-reaching, affecting agriculture, infrastructure, human health, and ecosystems. These events can disrupt food production, damage critical infrastructure, displace communities, and lead to the loss of life. The economic price tag. Costs of a warming world. The economic costs of global warming are substantial and wide-ranging. Extreme weather events such as hurricanes, floods, and wildfires cause billions of dollars in damage to property and infrastructure each year. Rising sea levels threaten coastal communities and critical infrastructure, leading to costly relocation efforts and increased insurance premiums. Changes in agricultural yields due to droughts and heat stress can disrupt food supplies and increase food prices. The healthcare system faces increased burdens as heat-related illnesses rise, and the spread of infectious diseases is exacerbated by changing climate conditions. These economic impacts are felt globally, affecting businesses, governments, and individuals alike. Addressing climate change is not just an environmental imperative but also an economic necessity. Section 5. Uprooted lives. Social impacts of climate change. The social consequences of global warming are profound, particularly for vulnerable communities least equipped to cope with the changing climate. Rising sea levels and extreme weather events can displace communities, forcing people to leave their homes and livelihoods behind. This displacement can lead to social unrest, conflict over resources, and increased migration. Climate change can exacerbate existing social inequalities as marginalized communities often face greater risks and have fewer resources to adapt. Access to clean water, food security, and healthcare can be compromised, disproportionately affecting the most vulnerable. Climate justice requires addressing these social inequities and ensuring that the burdens and benefits of climate action are shared equitably. Section 6. Beyond our shores. Global implications of climate change. The impacts of global warming are not confined within national borders. Climate change is a global issue that requires global cooperation and solutions. Changes in one part of the world can have ripple effects across the globe, affecting weather patterns, food security, and resource availability in other regions. For example, melting glaciers in the Himalayas threaten the water supply of millions of people in South Asia. Similarly, changes in ocean currents due to warming waters can disrupt fisheries and marine ecosystems, with cascading effects on coastal communities worldwide. Addressing climate change requires international collaboration, knowledge sharing, and coordinated action. Developed nations, which have historically been the largest emitters of greenhouse gases, have a responsibility to support developing nations in their efforts to adapt to climate change and transition to clean energy sources. Section 7. A race against time. The urgency of addressing global warming. The urgency of addressing global warming cannot be overstated. It is a crisis that demands immediate and sustained action from every corner of the globe. The longer we wait to take action, the more severe the consequences will be. Our planet is sending us clear signals that it is in distress. We are already experiencing the impacts of climate change, and these impacts will continue to intensify if we fail to act decisively. From rising sea levels to more frequent and severe natural disasters, the evidence is all around us. The scientific community has issued dire warnings about the irreversible consequences of inaction. Their research and data paint a stark picture of what lies ahead if we do not change course. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the leading international body for the assessment of climate change, has stated that human-induced climate change is already affecting many weather and climate extremes in every region across the globe. Their findings are based on extensive research and analysis. Evidence of observed changes in extremes such as heat waves, heavy precipitation, droughts, and tropical cyclones is mounting. These changes are not random, they are directly linked to human activities, and in particular, their attribution to human influence has strengthened since AR5. The data is clear, our actions are having a profound impact on the planet. The IPCC further warns that global surface temperature will continue to increase until at least the mid-century, under all emissions scenarios considered. This means that without significant changes, we are on a path to even more drastic climate shifts. Global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius and 2 degrees Celsius will be exceeded during the 21st century unless deep reductions in carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions occur in the coming decades. The window for action is closing rapidly. We are at a critical juncture, and the choices we make today will determine the future of our planet. It is up to us to take bold and decisive action to ensure a sustainable and livable world for future generations. Section 8. Turning the tide actions for a cooler future. Despite the challenges, there is still hope. Communities around the world are coming together to take meaningful action. We have the knowledge, the technology, and the resources to address global warming and transition to a more sustainable future. Scientists and engineers are working tirelessly to innovate and implement solutions. Addressing climate change requires a multifaceted approach involving actions at the individual, community, national, and international levels. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to the larger goal. One of the most critical steps is to rapidly transition away from fossil fuels and towards clean, renewable energy sources such as solar, wind, hydro, and geothermal power. This shift is essential for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. This transition will require significant investments in renewable energy infrastructure, research and development, and supportive policies to incentivize the adoption of clean energy technologies. Governments and private sectors must collaborate to drive this change. In addition to reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, we can also make significant strides by improving energy efficiency in our homes, buildings, and transportation systems. Energy efficiency is a key component of a sustainable future. Simple changes like using energy-efficient appliances, improving insulation, and opting for public transportation or electric vehicles can collectively make a difference. These actions not only help the environment, but also save money and improve quality of life. Section 9. Our collective responsibility, securing a sustainable tomorrow. Addressing global warming is not just the responsibility of governments and corporations, it is a collective responsibility that requires the participation of all individuals. We can all play a role in reducing our carbon footprint and advocating for change, making conscious choices about our consumption habits, supporting businesses and organizations committed to sustainability, and engaging in political advocacy to demand climate action are all meaningful ways to contribute. By working together, we can create a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable future for generations to come. The challenges posed by global warming are significant, but they are not insurmountable. By embracing our collective responsibility, taking bold action, and fostering a spirit of innovation and collaboration, we can turn the tide against climate change and secure a sustainable future for all.